Hey guys, how's your life? This is gonna be quick. I just finished listening to the debate between Ayaan Hirsi Ali, who is now a Christian, this other guy who's a writer for the New York Times, who had some good arguments, but failed to win the debate. I'll give you, I think it was 71%. The premise was, does America need a religious revival? And I think it was just religious. I'll have to go back and check. But it should be understood that religious is not the same thing as Christian. So I should actually, before I even go any further, I should check. But the whole point of it was, does it need a Christian revival? Because they had two Christians on stage, obviously arguing that the case is yes, that's actually what America needs. And then they had Michael Shermer, who you probably know, he's one of the new atheist crowd, and Adam, oh my goodness, what's his name? The comedian, who's very funny, and his debate style was like, he literally just gave like a stand-up show. But there was one thing, what happened was, I think the majority said, I think 71% said yes, America needs a religious revival. And when the debate was done, it was down to 61%. I could be messing. It might have been 73 and 61, but the final was 61. The point, there was a significant swing, like a 10% swing. And I think if I had to guess, when they lost, the precise moment of when they lost, and why they lost, was they went into all the reasons that kids are upset and depressed, and all the reasons that society seems kind of like loathsome right now, and they blamed it on cell phones, and they blamed it on just like every and any argument, something that Jonathan Haidt would say, and the coddling of the American mind. These are all factors. I agree. These are all true. But part of the coddling of the American mind is to group religions together, in my humble opinion, and suggest that they are really just the same thing, when they are not the same thing, okay? They're not all the same in orientation, and more importantly than that, in trajectory. And so when they talked about all these different things, they're like, oh yeah, but the modern world, evolution, all these kinds of things. Naturally, everybody believes in evolution, so of course everybody's gonna say, yeah, evolution. But there was a certain point, Barry Weiss was moderating it, and Barry Weiss, I put a few clips of her speaking to Alex Karp, the I don't know, I think he's one of the CEOs of Palantir, who has put into play this artificial intelligence. And she even mentioned that she was with Alex Karp a couple days before, so they really should have seized on that, but they did not. He uses artificial intelligence specifically in the wars right now against domestic terrorism, and in the wars in the Ukraine, and in the war in Gaza. So it should be understood that they're using artificial intelligence to target people. I feel like that would have been pretty good to bring up, but see, they couldn't have brought it up because Ayaan Hirsi Ali said something very interesting. She said, well, we can tell that the problem with the world, the Western world right now, is that there's too much secularism, because we saw in the college campuses in 2024 all of these people doing sit-ins against, and we know what it was against, right? It was against the war in Israel, Gaza, which to, I think, most people's eyes by this point seems really, really over the top, really, really unjust, and really, really, like, people just, they don't have the stomach for it. They don't want to see it. They're against it. I think that a lot of public sentiment is against it, which is why when Ayaan Hirsi Ali said, oh, well, we saw that there's too much secularism, which is not secularism at all, because it's actually the intersection of humanist, secularist atheism, which gave us all the other isms, all the postmodern isms, your feminisms and your queer theory. And like, I'm not saying anything, I'm not making any value judgments against those things. I think everybody should fight for their own rights. And in fact, that was one of the arguments that Shermer made that was not challenged, which really should have been. Because the point is that how did these people all think they came upon their morality, their ethical system, their base? That's what they should have been going at. Where is the foundation stone? Because they did make the point that, well, you just grew up in a largely Christian moral framework and world, and it turned more secular, and you think that it was secular first and turned Christian after. In fact, that was one of the things that Michael Shermer argued in his opening statements, which was, I mean, it's totally nonsense. It doesn't make sense. It's actually not true. And then the guy does go after it a little bit. The guy from the New York Times or the New York Post, I can't remember which it is. I say go watch the debate. But see, the reason that I'm honing in on this, where do you believe your values came from, is because Ayaan Hirsi Ali says, well, we know it's a problem because of all these secularists, which these are radical ideologies and a radical woke ideological system that is making its way through all of our institutions, including our colleges. And it's marrying itself with another, what is a radical ideology, at least an orientation. I remember I did a Substack because I had a debate with this guy who since has removed me, which I'm not surprised about, because I'm sure that he did not like the kinds of things that I was saying, because he identified as a communist and an Islamist. He was a radical communist / socialist. I mean, they're all basically the same thing. They're all various forms of social justice that doesn't actually have any cohesive groundwork. So at the end of the day, you're just going to have all of these different groups that will be fighting for power because that's what they believe the world is. They believe the world is just a giant fight for power, and you have to, in fact, take that power by force. That's literally how communism works. And they mentioned communism a couple times. They mentioned the revolutions. They mentioned the places where you could go and find out that's a fact. And unfortunately, they brought up Russia because Russia, if anything, Russia is the farthest thing from communism that there is right now. I can't believe, in fact, the entire, one of the things, I'll just do this as a sidebar. The reason that we're going after Russia and we talk about it like, oh, Putin he wants to take over everything. The reason people do and say that is because it's actually a hangover from when they were communist. So all that Cold War atmosphere is just kind of like being rehashed right now because we're arguing that what we're doing is we're fighting a atheist worldview. So all that hate, all that momentum that's being used against people that don't really understand their own arguments. And I'm finding this now because I put some clips from Tucker Carlson and Joe Rogan. Tucker Carlson talking to Clayton, I can't remember Clayton's last name, and Tucker talking to Cooper, Daryl Cooper. And I really try to highlight the parts where they're pointing out that what's happening is that there is a lack of a religious foundation that unites people. And, like Shermer just sounds, he's so behind the times to me. It's difficult to take him seriously. And the other two, they just don't hammer the point home enough. And when Ayaan Hirsi Ali tried to do so, she missed the mark because she said, well, when these kids with their secularist religious views all met for a cohesive goal, it was to be against Israel. And I think that they probably lost the debate at that exact moment because of what I said before. I don't think that anybody really supports what Israel is doing right now. I think that you see that with Tucker. I think that you see that with Cooper. I think you see that with Rogan. I think you see with every really influential person there is out there. I think that you're seeing that that's happening. I'm going to go this way. I think that you're seeing that happen in real time. That nobody actually supports that war right now. And what happened, what was so interesting, was that so many people, when that war broke out, so many people came out against Israel because they see it as the aggressor, because of all of the way that we think about just like what is good and what is bad. And it used to be rested on this idea of what is moral, what is right, what is ethical. But now it's just who has the power and who doesn't. I mean, who could argue against that? That's the way that we teach everybody everything. We believe it's evolutionary, and we believe it's a battle for this, like, kind of like these different ideas are going to win. And like Darwinism itself is, you know, the survival of the fittest, which most people turn into like, well, it's a battle, but that's not actually what it is. It's more about fitting into niche zones. Doesn't matter. It doesn't change the point. The point is that they lost that debate because they didn't point out the most obvious thing that I have been hammering on forever. Like, there's a couple different things. One of them is, the rise of artificial intelligence, which that's difficult to connect for a lot of people, even though I try on my own unique way. And what they did, like 5 years ago, I think, like not even yesterday or today, or 5 years ago, they shut the world down because of the secularist, humanist, materialist world view. That's why they did it. It was all based on relativism, and that we can understand, we can know everything. We have all the data, we have all the experts agree. That's why they did it. And I think maybe a lot of the people that were there at the debate walked in thinking maybe somebody's going to really hammer this home, and they did it. They completely failed. And I'm not picking on them. I mean, like, it's difficult to make this connection for people, but like, that's what happened. You know that's what happened, because the whole thing was about creating new gene therapies to stop your body from doing something because they think you're a robot. The head of BioNTech, dude, come on, nice job, thinks that you're a biological computer. Israel itself is the home of the biodigital convergence. They completely dropped the ball. Anyway, that's it. Have a great day, you guys. I didn't mean to take so long on that one. Take it easy. God bless.